Nile glistens under the moonlight. The pyramids stand tall in the distance, symbols of power and oppression. The city is divided, grand temples and palaces for the rulers, while the Hebrew quarters are crumbling under the weight of endless labor. The air is thick with the sound of hammering stones and weary sighs. Torchlight flickers, casting shadows on the walls of a civilization built on the backs of slaves. Egypt, the most powerful empire on earth. A land of grandeur, ruled by a man who believed himself to be a god. But beneath its splendor lay suffering. For centuries, the Bani Israel, descendants of Prophet Yusuf, had lived in Egypt. Once honored guests, they were now slaves, crushed under the tyranny of Pharaoh Ramses II. His word was law, his cruelty unmatched. The Hebrews, once honored guests, are now shackled in chains. Their backs bear the scars of whips, their hands build the monuments of a ruler who sees himself as divine. Yet, among the suffering, whispers spread, a prophecy of hope, a child destined to bring Pharaoh's reign to ruin. Marble columns stretch high, adorned with hieroglyphs depicting Pharaoh's conquests. The air smells of incense, masking the tension that lingers. Priests, generals, and advisors stand in rigid silence, their eyes fixed on the high priest who trembles before the golden throne. Pharaoh, adorned in lavish robes, leans forward, his expression unreadable. Deep within the heart of Pharaoh's palace, fear takes root. The priests have read the stars. They have seen visions of a child, a Hebrew boy, who will grow to challenge Pharaoh's rule. High priest, voice shaking. My lord, the gods have spoken. A child will rise among the Hebrews, one who will defy you. He will lead them from bondage, and your empire, your divinity, will crumble. A heavy silence follows. Pharaoh's jaw tightens. He grips the golden staff beside him, his knuckles whitening. Then, a slow, chilling laugh escapes his lips. A Hebrew child? A mere infant? His eyes narrow, voice turning cold. Then, let no Hebrew son live to see his first breath of freedom. With that decree, the fate of countless innocents was sealed. Egypt's streets would soon run red with the blood of the helpless. Pharaoh's soldiers march into the Hebrew quarters, their bronze armor gleaming under the sun. Mothers clutch their newborns, their screams piercing the air as soldiers tear infants from their arms. Swords rise and fall, cries of agony echo through the streets. Fathers fight back, but their resistance is crushed beneath the weight of Egyptian steel. A mother, disheveled and desperate, cradles her baby and dashes into an alley. She presses against the wall, heart pounding. A soldier's shadow looms, the gleam of a blade. No street was safe. No door was a refuge. Pharaoh's command spread like wildfire, turning the city into a graveyard of innocence. The Hebrews wept, powerless as their sons were stolen, their futures erased. In a dimly lit room, Jochebed, her face streaked with silent tears, rocks her newborn son. The candlelight flickers over his tiny face, peaceful and unaware. Outside, the distant wails of mourning mothers fill the air. Her husband, Imran, stands by the door, fists clenched, his face etched with helpless rage. The weight of Pharaoh's decree pressed on her soul, but her heart whispered of another path. Jochebed, softly to the baby. My son, I will not let them take you. Jochebed, how can we fight a king? How can we hide him when death watches every door? Jochebed looks up, her eyes filled with a strange certainty. A gentle wind rustles through the cracks of the mud brick home, and in her heart she hears a silent command. Then came a voice, not of fear, but of destiny, a divine whisper that carried a command. Place him in the river, and do not be afraid. The waters of the Nile ripple under the moon's glow. Jochebed kneels by the riverbank, placing her son into a woven basket. Miriam, his young sister, watches, her small hands clutching at her mother's robe. Miriam whispers, afraid, "Mama, what if the river takes him away forever?" Jochebed swallows her grief, forcing a reassuring smile. She strokes Miriam's hair. Then Allah will carry him where he must go. The basket drifts, the water lapping against its sides. Jochebed watches until she can no longer see it, her tears falling silently. The river carried more than a child that night. It carried a prophecy, a revolution yet to come. And as a mother wept, the currents whispered of a future no king could stop.